A poltergeist, the term derived from the German word poltern, to make noise, and geist, ghost, is a type of supernatural entity known for causing physical disturbances, either in an attempt at communicating with or tormenting the living, and usually in the form of moving objects, making loud noises, levitating furniture, switching electrical items on and off, disembodied strange voices, whispers or growls, and most sinister, physically attacking people, with reports of scratching, biting and slapping in severe experiences. The 1817 Bell incident is perhaps one of the earliest documented cases of a poltergeist. Yet with the introduction of film and camera mediums, cases have been recorded that simply defy rational explanation. From the chilling case of the Enfield Poltergeist, where a London family was terrorized by an unseen force, to slamming doors and unnatural noises, and even the Sallie House, a home so haunted that one group of researchers filmed scratches, burning sensations and objects moving on their own during their televised visit. So without further ado, hit those lights, sit back, and prepare to be scared as we delve into 5 poltergeists caught on camera. Number 5. Real estate agent's house tour poltergeist. We'll start off the video with a very strange incident inadvertently captured on video during a real estate agent's rehearsals for a house tour. Take a look.
Wow, it's 10 p.m. and my day was fully booked with showings of this beautiful vintage 1962. Wow, it's 10 p.m. and my day was fully booked with showings of this vintage 1963 bungalow.
Starting off mundane enough, the estate agent practices running through her lines, as she notes that the house in question was built in 1963, when just behind her, a door opens of its own accord, slowly swinging inwards. Both confused and frightened, the uploader turns around suddenly and retreats towards the camera, unsure at first if it could actually be a human intruder, which in itself is sinister enough. Watching silently for several moments, no further movement occurs, and she picks up the camera to bravely go and investigate.
Go ahead, do it again. You're on camera. Open this door. Go ahead, open this door. Open this door like you did the other one. Come on, just move the glass or something. Go ahead, do it again. I'm not scared.
She initially checks out the door frame and hinges to see if anything there could have caused the door to open, but finds nothing. Venturing out into the hallway, the house is eerily silent, as the uploader calls out for the entity to do it again, but receives no reaction. Finding nothing amiss in any of the other rooms, other than most of the house being in semi-darkness, despite her assurances that she'd left the lights on, the fire alarm is then inexplicably set off. Terrifyingly, as she approaches the ceiling-mounted smoke detector, it slams to the ground right in front of her feet, and clatters towards her, blaring even louder than before. Very much as we would have done, the uploader turns and flees from the house, not stopping even to lock the front door. In a write-up of her encounter, she gives even more context to her creepy experience. First day on the property, clueless how to get in because the door's locked, I tried calling my client, straight to voicemail. Decided to wait 10 minutes to call back, and I also sent a text, but was left undelivered. Within 5 minutes of waiting, I hear the deadbolt on the door unlock. I was thinking, okay, maybe my client was inside the whole time and didn't know I was outside until seeing my message. I walk over to the door, wait for him to come out, and nothing. I knock lightly and go, "Hello, anyone there?" No response. I then open the door and find no one there. Later I showed the house to a couple of prospective home buyers, and during the in-person tour, we heard other doors inside open out of the blue. I'm 99.9% sure it wasn't a draft. Other stuff happened too, but the super creepy stuff that happened was the doors opening, and even hearing a voice echoing from somewhere. One thing is for certain, after viewing this clip, we do not think prospective buyers would be in any rush to purchase the house, unless of course they plan on sharing it with a potential poltergeist. Number 4. Police station's eerie encounter. The following incident was captured on CCTV camera inside a Malaysian police station late at night, leaving the onlooking officers stumped. Take a look.
Cik dengan siapa je? Cik dengan siapa? Cik Rahmat. Cik lepas 2003 ni kan pihak Mula-Mula tak ada dapat feedback kan? Ada tak inisiatif dari cik sendiri kalau dia nak hari balik dengan orang? Okey, lepas tu kata apa? Masih lagi dalam kesakan?
As 3 police officers chat around the reception desk, they are alerted by some noise, although it's not possible to make it out due to the recording quality, as one of the far doors on the right swings inwards. A fraction of a second later, the second glass entrance door flies open with brutal force, slamming back onto its hinges and breaking the door frame, before the first door begins to close over slowly, untouched. Naturally, the officers are concerned, checking both inside and also out front, but they found no reason or even weather conditions that could have caused such a powerful reaction. For it to have been a human, they would either have to attach a rope to the door's handle and have considerable strength to slam the door open with such force, as these are made from thick glass and built to withstand both turbulent weather and heavy daily use. Some have suggested that a rope hooked to a vehicle could be the explanation, and whilst this is feasible, it seems unlikely, both because the police officers do not seem to react to anything specific outside the doors, especially not any danger. As you'd imagine, they would have drawn their weapons and or confronted the culprits, but also as the individuals would have had to go to the effort of opening the far door and closing it slowly, which seems pretty pointless given the seriousness of their other action. High winds, pranksters, changes in pressure, and even accusations of it being a complete hoax have been put forward to debunk the clip. However, none of them have been validated, and the police officers' reactions appear genuinely shaken and confused. Also note that they would have had to destroy the expensive doors of their own police station in the process, which seems unlikely. What do you make of this clip? Number 3. Ghost at Huracan Court. Whilst renovations were being built at the Estadio Tomás Arduco football stadium in Buenos Aires, Argentina, one night the security guard began to hear mysterious bangs and knocks from below and started recording. Take a look.
Me crea la gente porque esto nunca me pasó y nada, lo quería grabar, qué sé yo, estoy podrido, la concha de la lora. Digo, en linterna, no sé para qué enviar la clase. Dios.
As the guard begins to film, he narrates that it's around 11 PM and it's the third time that he's been alerted to these noises, and we can hear a steady, consistent banging coming from somewhere downstairs. Sounding worried, he goes on to say that he's not sure what's going on, but wants to record it so that his experience will be believed. Embarking down into what appears to be the stadium's basement or parking garage, the banging becomes louder and more incessant as he descends, sounding almost like echoes of gunshots until he reaches the source.
Puta que te parió. La puta que te parió. Concha de la lora. La concha de la lora. Pero ¿cómo mierda puede ser que no haya nada hoy? Ya es la tercera vez. Tercera vez que entro y no hay nada. Dios. Me quiero ir. Me quiero ir.
A wooden door to the temporary changing rooms is being slammed repeatedly against the frame by some unseen force, stopping only when he pushes the door inwards and enters the room to find nobody inside. As he walks around, he shows that there is no one else in the room, or even any artificial factors that could have caused the door to act so abnormally. Eerily, as he turns around, a strange shadow passes in front of him, apparently missed by the security guard. It flits from left to right in front of the camera at a seemingly unnatural speed, and in slow motion appears to take the form of a small human-like shape, and what looks to be swinging its arm as though walking. Whilst it's only on screen for a fraction of a second, it looks too dark and dense to be the uploader's shadow, as well as being both completely the wrong shape and moving with odd characteristics. The video's comment section is full of people noting how scared the guard appears, and also how it feels entirely unscripted, both his mannerisms and timorous narration. One comment, although unverified, claims they also worked on the site, and that in the morning they found the guard seated outside the stadium, refusing to go back in and demanding to be transferred to a daytime shift. I think most would be doing the same, or at least asking for a pay rise. Number 2. The Enfield Haunting. Sometimes the classics are the most credible, and although we've talked about the Enfield many times before, and you're probably familiar with the case if you're into the paranormal, no poltergeist video would be complete without mentioning it, and we'd rather show you what many believe to be authentic poltergeist activity than some bogus TikTok paranormal video. It all began on the evening of August 31st, 1977. All as usual at 248 Green Street, London, home to the Hodgson family, Billy 7, Johnny 10, Janet 11, Margaret 13, and their mother Peggy. At some point during the night, the boys' beds began to wobble of their own accord, and when Peggy ventured upstairs to investigate, she witnessed a heavy chest of drawers move across the girls' room, as though pushed by an invisible hand, seemingly trying to block the door from opening. This is the recognized start point of the haunting, and over the following 2 years, the Hodgsons would experience strange knocks all around the house, matches igniting spontaneously, objects flying around the room, levitating furniture, random pools of water appearing on the floor, and even gruff disembodied voices. Most mind-blowing, it wasn't only the family who reported experiencing such activity. Over 30 witnesses attested to the Hodgson's torment, including not only paranormal investigators and journalists, but 2 serving police officers also admitted their own paranormal accounts. WPC Carol Heaps and her partner were called to the house following a 999 call from a terrified Peggy Hodgson and her neighbour, Vic Nottingham, after a spat of poltergeist activity, and although skeptical upon arrival, they too soon experienced inexplicable phenomenon.
It came off the floor, or nearly a half inch I should say, and I saw it slide off to the right, about 3.5 to 4 feet before it came to rest. I checked to see whether or not it could possibly have slid along the floor. I placed a marble on the floor to see whether or not the marble would go in the same direction as the chair did, and it didn't roll at all. I checked for wires under the cushion of the chair, and I could find no explanation at all.
WPC Heaps' account gives considerable credibility to this case. Not only because the role of a police officer should be authoritative, reliable, and not given to flights of fancy, but also as it comes from a female constable who, given the looming patriarchal climate of 1970s Britain, would not be in any rush to embarrass or discredit her position unless she truly believed what she'd witnessed. Paranormal investigators from the Society for Psychic Research, Guy Lyon Playfair, and Maurice Gross maintained that although the Hodgson's children did exaggerate or hoax some of the activity once the case became sensationalized, there was still plenty of poltergeist activity that simply could not be explained, and that an entity was to blame. Gross was reported to have had regular conversations with the entity, which answered his questions through a series of knocks around the house, such as in the following recording, where a room full of witnesses claimed to have seen an object fly across the room and hit Gross right after he asked if the poltergeist was playing with him.
1 for no and 2 for yes. Are you a male spirit? 1 for no and 2 for yes.
2.
That's 2. You are a male spirit. Did you used to live in this house? You did. Was it more than 50 years ago? Yes. Did you die in this house? Did you pass on? You did pass on in this house. Now, why are you here? Are you unhappy? You're not unhappy. But why are you here? Is it because you want to give us a special message? No. You don't want to give us a special message. Are you having a game with me? Oh, right.
Oh, crumbs.
As I asked the question, are you having a game with me? It threw the cardboard box and the pillow right at my face. Well, thank you very much. That was a very good answer.
Despite a flood of movies, TV shows, books, documentaries and podcasts, the case of the Enfield Haunting remains largely a baffling mystery. The paranormal affairs at 248 Green Street eventually lessened until finishing completely in 1979, and to this day, both Janet and Margaret insist that the hauntings were real. I've always been a little skeptical of this case. There were definitely things that were unexplained, and it's fascinating nonetheless. What do you think of it? Number 1. The Sallie House Poltergeist. Built in the mid-19th century, 508 North 2nd Street in Atchison, Kansas, appears from the outside to be a perfectly mundane, vacant home. Yet it's said to harbour one of the most rampant poltergeists in American history. Dubbed the Sallie House, the property has been investigated by a myriad of paranormal researchers over the decades, such as this team, who experienced a sinister spat of activity during a visit in 1994.
The phenomena in this house, according to the family who lives here, are caused by Sallie, the spirit of a 7-year-old child. They believe it's Sallie who causes paranormal activity, like lights flickering on and off mysteriously. as seen in this home video.
Sallie.
On the left side, right.
Family photos have turned up with unusual blurring and discoloration, confounding our photo experts.
Exploring the house alongside the animized family, who lived there at the time, the researchers and camera crew experienced strange patches of cold air and bouts of static electricity, which in itself they say is not enough to convince them. Yet they soon get far more than they were asking for.
There's a little girl that's standing right there. Right at the top of the stairs.
Hello? Hello?
Look.
Hello? Can you speak to me? Sallie? Is that your name, Sallie? Sallie? Okay.
The family and our sightings investigative team were amazed that Peter James had correctly named the entity.
I'm getting a lot of resistance right here at the door, meaning whatever is in the room wants me out.
Psychic Peter James, who accompanied the group and was unaware of any of 508 North 2nd Street's history, as well as any specifics of the paranormal activity, reportedly witnessed a little girl dressed in period clothing and correctly referred to her as Sallie, a fact later corroborated by the research team when they uncovered that a child called Sallie Isabel Hall had indeed lived and died at the house in 1905.
Here, he felt an overwhelming grief. Here, he said, lay Sallie. But the marker was so old and weather-worn, the lettering had disappeared. But when sightings checked the cemetery's records, we discovered that Plot 1, 4th row west, was the final resting place of Sallie Isabel Hall.
Buried in a local cemetery, the exact grave was then identified by Peter, despite the original inscription being worn away. And in the family's opinion, this at least meant that they now knew the apparent individual responsible for the haunting. Yet things soon took a very disturbing turn.
Why don't you sit down? I can tell that you're losing your breath right now.
Sallie, what did I tell you?
Sallie, we see you. We know you're here.
Whoever or whatever was responsible for these painful scratches struck repeatedly throughout the day. At one point, new welts began to form on Jeff's stomach. Then, I was shocked to see mysterious welts forming on his forehead. Whether the source of this bizarre activity lies within Jeff or in an outside entity who craves attention, the result is still unexplainable.
To me now,
Yeah.
he felt the cold
Yeah.
fly past him, and he's
And she scratched you?
There, my back's been stinging.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I just
Don't be frightened. There's nothing to be afraid of. Remember, you're in control here. So don't.
MC.
Ooh.
I heard that electrical shock.
Yes. Let me just right here, right in my hand. Did you hear that? Get right in my hand. It hit me right there. Hello. Easy.
On 2 separate occasions, Jeff, the father of the family, was assaulted by some unseen attacker, resulting in the letters MC being scratched deep into his back as he stood and watched Peter attempting to communicate with the malicious spirit, and also long cuts appearing on his forearm, chest and head, in full view of both the cameraman and researchers, proving that he hadn't somehow done these to himself. Ominously, Sallie seemed to harness a particular malevolence towards males, with Jeff usually bearing the brunt of both the poltergeist activity and the harmful actions. Whilst investigating, the team managed to contact previous tenants who recalled similar experiences to the current family, such as this horrifying account.
Holding hands, and at one point, my husband would grip her real hard. We were told not to let go. Don't break the circle. And he just held on real tight because he was in such pain. It was odd because he's never really felt the pain before. But afterwards, we found out that he had been swiped at with a hand across his back on 3 separate occasions that left, I think it was 11 scratches right across the center upper portion of his back, his shoulder area.
These are the scratches that materialized during that exorcism. And as long as the family stayed away from the house, the scratches didn't return.
Today, the Sallie House is vacant. It has been turned into a tourist attraction, allowing you to stay overnight and conduct your own investigations. However, Eerie stating a waiver is required due to the potential for personal injury, though no serious injuries have been reported since the last tenants in 1994. What do you make of this one? So that's 5 eerie poltergeist activity caught on camera. We'd love to know your thoughts and theories on these clips in the comments section below, and whether or not you've had any of your own experiences with a poltergeist. Thanks for watching, keep searching, and we'll see you next time.